Bonjour, sono molto contente I have to do it in English. I'm very happy to be there with you in Milano to Profumo and to explain you my new perfumes. So I began to work on Les Nombres d'Or a couple of years ago. I always worked on to reproduce raw material. When I was the pupil of Edmond Runiska, I had to reproduce each season some flowers that I used to go to the garden and to pick up the flowers following their blossom. And a couple of years ago, I began to think about the very famous perfumes on the market and what people they did enjoy. For example, they enjoy a lot vanilla or vetiver or tuberose. And I was thinking a way how I could introduce this beautiful classic of the perfumery. So the difference between Les Nombres d'Or and what we call the grey line, it's the approach. Because when I was created the grey line, I was thinking about a story to tell, an emotion to translate, and the departure was quite abstract. It was one of my wish, one of my ideal. I wanted to translate through a perfume. But for this, the name were quite abstract, like for Chamarré, what means Chamarré? Chamarré, it was a way to translate different colors, different reflection. So the approach was maybe more intellectual and maybe more abstract. I have to give a name, I have to let people travel around this name, at the same time to try to approach them and maybe to explain what was Chamarré, even it's very abstract. With Les Nombres d'Or, it's really different because my purpose, my goal, when I began, it was, for example, vanilla. I wanted to translate my own vanilla. So the name was already there. It didn't come at the end, but since the beginning, I knew that it will be something I'm going to build a formula around the vanilla. So the vanilla was the main, was the structure of the perfume itself. So the process, working with some beautiful raw materials and a lot of natural raw materials, expensive ingredients and the rarest ingredients. It was always what I enjoyed to do. But with Les Nombres d'Or, we just can consider that it's a different approach, but on the same way of, that the quality is always there. When I create a perfume, it's not really easy. Sometimes it makes me laugh when I listen some people saying, "Okay, you just have to blend this one, and it's like I'm a magician, and I'm going to shake the bottle, and at the end something beautiful is going to happen." I would like, but it's not so easy. But maybe because it's difficult at the same time, it makes the things more beautiful. But each time I create a fragrance, it's also it's a way to take a lot of pleasure because I enjoy to do it, and it's a research, and I go deep into my imagination. So it's really something beautiful. It's my life, and at the same time, it's really sometimes, let's say, a little bit painful. Because I have to struggle, and I'm very demanding. So I just want to capture the perfect harmony. So sometimes it's just a question of few drops, and you can really change totally the formula if you are going to put one more drop. So I have to be careful each time I'm going to change the proportions at the perfume, what is going to happen, to anticipate. So when I create a perfume, I just have a kind of a mental shape in my brain, and I know when the perfume is finished because the shape I have in my brain, I'm going to find it on my blotter. So the smell and the shape are going to be exactly the same. And just at this moment when what I had in my mind is going to reach what I have on the paper stick, I know that it's finished. But just to arrive, to reach this level, it asks me a lot of research, a lot of... I need to feel alone, and I need to go deep and to really focus. It's a very solitary process and very intense. And sometimes I do wake up in the middle of the night just to go and to smell, or sometimes I go on my electronic scale and I just have an idea in my mind just to adjust the drop. And also I'm very... careful to let rest the product, and need that the materials are going to be very well integrated is something very crucial, to not to be in a hurry. You have to be always very patient and always very concentrated. So I just, if in the middle of the night I'm going to wait some drops, after I have to wait almost one day before to smell the perfume when it's really, when all the ingredients are well blended. When I began to create Les Nombres d'Or, for me the most important thing is really to keep the real quality and the beautiful quality. So before to work on one perfume, on one theme, for example the vanilla, I was looking for the perfect essential oil of vanilla, and I found this beautiful Absolute vanille from Madagascar. So when I find the perfect raw material, at this moment, and only at this moment, I'm going to be able to elaborate my formula and to think about how I'm going to harmonize everything around the vanilla. Because I'm still working, like in the previous line, with a top note, a heart note, and a base note. I want to create also an harmony, and I want a development. I don't want to create just the vanilla, which is going to be the same to the beginning to the end. So the process stays the same, the raw material stays the same. It's just another angle of creativity. So I'm going to let you know everything, almost everything. So, for the vanilla, vanilla is such a big subject, and I heard somewhere that it's a favorite ingredient through the world for all the people. So I was quite amazed to realize that, because we don't have the same culture, we don't have the same climate, we don't have the same skin, the same food. So I was wondering how through the world people, they could enjoy vanilla, and just to say that the vanilla is the first perfume they do enjoy. So I was looking for another vanilla. My departure was finding the beautiful Absolute vanilla from Madagascar, and after that I was trying to imagine a shape in my mind, because the vanilla, but I have to find the beginning and the end of the story. So I was looking for, I was dreaming, and suddenly I was thinking about the meaning, about the where do all these ingredients are coming from. So vanilla is coming from Madagascar. And I was thinking about the island around Madagascar. I went a couple of years ago to visit my uncle. He's living in the Réunion Island, and at this moment I discovered the wonderful, pure quality of vetiver. So for the vanilla, I began to imagine a big ship through the oceans and through the sea, going from island to island, long time ago, looking for the spices. We call it la route des épices. And I imagined this big boat, and this big boat was built into special wood, a very strong wood. So this wood was Bois de Gaillac. So I had the structure. Bois de Gaillac was the boat. And it was on the sea, going to this kind of island. And so you have on the boat a big barrel of rum, because you have also rum into Réunion Island. So you have the rum, and it's going to find some pods of vanilla. So you have the pods of vanilla, and you have some oranges for the sailors, and you have some gloves, which was a medic and also a very precious spice. And you can also go to the Comoros Island, very close, and you find the ilang-ilang. So little by little, I began to visualize the ship in my mind with all the ingredients on board, and it was suddenly it was really clear. I had my formula, and I began to really understand where I wanted to go, and so the shape of my perfume came little by little, and I was quite amazed at how this ingredient also. I take always such a big pleasure when I begin to build the formula to see how when I blend the ingredients. So what the result is going. Sometimes it's better when I expect it. Someone is not so good, but I have to experiment also with a few drops each time. So the vanilla begins. You have the very fresh and citrus note of the orange. You have a little bit of spice like the clove. You have also a little hint of rum. And after you are going to enter into the art of the absolute vanilla. Not too sweet, a little bit wild, fruity, kind, and a little bit like velvet. And after you are going to arrive at the end, so the vanilla is going also to stay on the base note. And you are going to have a little bit of... the rum will stay a little bit too. And I put some resins also. I like resins. I put a little bit of opoponax. Alors... for the vetiver, I think that because I spoke a lot about vetiver and because maybe you know that I put a drop of vetiver each time in all my fragrances. For me, vetiver is like a magic root. And maybe inconsciently it's my connection to my childhood when I was with my grandmother in this famous garden into the south of France. And this kind of earthy perfume, deep, and a little bit wild. I need each time just to put a drop. So it was obvious that one day I have also to make my own vetiver. And I was waiting to find the perfect ingredient for the introduction, for the top notes. And when I found it, I knew that it was the beginning of the story about my vetiver. So first I have this wonderful vetiver from Bourbon, very earthy, very intense, a little bit fat, and such a kind of, I don't know how to kind of aura, wonderful aura. And I find this ingredient from Madagascar called blue ginger. And believe me, it's really an unbelievable raw material because it's so crispy, so fresh, so sparkling. Normally, I'm used to work with ginger from China, which is an ingredient very spicy, a little bit dusty, and dry. And when I find this one, I had the feeling to have the bulb of ginger when you are going to cook, and it's very juicy, and the smell is almost rosy. So just to give the departure, it was really perfect. So I began to build the vetiver with this top note, and after I was thinking about a little drop of grapefruit from Argentina, pink grapefruit, to give freshness also and a little bit of bitterness. And after, just a little drop of nutmeg to finish the top note and to introduce the art note with the vetiver. And for the base note, I was thinking also to give something warm and sunny and roasted, and I love this labdanum. For me, it's like the maple syrup, and a little drop of leather, and a little bit of amber also to finish the beautiful vetiver. Well, the tuberose, such another big subject because so many women they love tuberose, and I was looking for a tuberose. And I was remembering when at the first time between my hands a real tuberose. I was studying with Edmond, and he gave me a tuberose in a pot. And I brought it to my home, and I put it in my bedroom. And in the middle of the night, I was suffocating because what's this smell? And I have to go to see that the tuberose, you know that they call it the queen of the night, and it's not a coincidence, believe me, because it was smelling so intensively in my bedroom, I was not able to sleep anymore, so I had to bring the tuberose on the balcony to let me breathe in my bedroom. So the tuberose is going to it begins to smell when the day, when the sun it begins to go down. So when the night arrives, and more, it will be darker. So the tuberose is going really to smell intensively, and just a very animal smell, very carnal, very intoxicating. But I noticed that when the tuberose is going to smell at the beginning of the night, just what we call twilight, the smell is a little bit different. It's less intoxicating, less overpowerful, less overwhelming, a little bit fresher, with a little note of green leaves, a little bit more green. And when I found this absolute tuberose from India, and I smelt it, and I was thinking about the real plant, and the smell is a little bit different. It's not what you expect, because the absolute tuberose is maybe more gourmand, more green and floral, and with a little facet of water cocoa. Not coconut, not milky, but very subtle and very discreet little facets. So I was thinking, okay, I'm going to build a twilight tuberose. So when the sun goes down, it will be the beginning of my tuberose. So I was looking for an ingredient to introduce it another time, and I was thinking about the pink pepper, just to give a little bit kind of twist of freshness and lightly spicy and round, and a little bit of green leaves also. And after you are going to enter little by little into the absolute tuberose, that just tried to work also to show the little facet of this kind of water cocoa, a little bit of heliotrope. Well, another big subject, oud. Oud is really famous nowadays. A couple of years ago, nobody knew what oud was, and suddenly you began to see a little bit everywhere a lot of oud perfumes. And a long time ago, I smelled the quality of oud, but I was not really seduced by the sample I had. So I was not really ready to do something with oud. And speaking with some people, they ask me, why you don't make your own oud? I say, well, first, it's I don't want to be trendy. What I search is not to be trendy, or I just want to do something I enjoy to do, and with what I'm going to have a real pleasure. And I'm going to work on the oud the day I'm going to have a beautiful essential oil of oud. And I asked to my provider if he could find me, or let me smell, if he had at this moment a nice quality of oud, because the previous one a couple of years ago I had under my nose didn't seduce me. So he said, yeah, I have one. I just received 1 liter from Laos, a very special one, if you want to try it. And I took a little sample, and I went home. And I don't smell the product when they are pure. I smell only the product when I'm going to dilute them. So at 1% or at 10% or at 1 per 1,000. It depends of the concentration of the power of the product itself. And I began to study this raw material, and following different hours. So I smelled it immediately, and after I wait a little bit, and after I came back, and like that during all the day. And when I went to bed, I let the pepper stick on the little table near my bed. And on the morning, something very weird happened, because when my alarm clock was ringing, during a couple of seconds, it was a very weird feeling. I smelled something different, and I had the feeling that someone I didn't know was in my bedroom, because it was more than a perfume. It was like a real presence. And so I just turned my head and I look on the corner and I say, okay, maybe I'm going to see someone, especially because at this moment they did some renovation in my building, so maybe someone just entered through the scaffolding into my bedroom or something like that. looking, and finally I just see this little paper. I say, oh my God, it's this little paper. And suddenly I realized why through all these millennials, why oud was so important in different culture, in India, in Arabia. And I began to read some things about it, and I discovered for the religion it was something quite special and very precious and very mystical. So at this moment I was convinced, okay, now I'm seduced myself and I'm intrigued, and I can begin to really to do something around oud. So I didn't want to make something too wild or too animal, because if you smell the real one, it's really very intense and woody and animal. But so I was thinking, what ingredient could team perfectly with the oud, and at the same time being a little bit opposite to turn around. And suddenly I thought about the osmanthus. So I was thinking, wow, the absolute osmanthus could be really wonderful with oud, and it matched so well, but it was really, really difficult to make it. It's I think it's one of the most difficult perfume I ever made, because I had really to search how to integrate, how to make it harmonious, and not too wild, just not too much osmanthus, not too much wood, but just to find the perfect balance, the perfect shape again, and it was really difficult. Perfume creator, the mistake it doesn't have to make. It's quite delicate. Let's say, if I speak for myself, I will say that I have to be always very demanding with myself, always demanding on the quality of the raw materials, and to find, I repeat myself, but to find a harmony, because for me the perfume has to develop itself in a certain way, not to have some hole, because you are going to smell some product and suddenly it's silencious, and after you are going to smell again. It has to be totally bland, and just to give a perfect harmony. And you see, we have all the same raw materials. It's like musicians have all the same instruments and all the same notes, and even they're all the same. When you just try to look deep into yourself, you can find a way to play something different. So I think it's trying to be myself, trying to express what I want, and trying to be different, to not copy. I think it's important. What I would like to do, I would like to continue to create a lot of Nombres d'Or and other perfumes. I have so many ideas in my mind, so I can't stop create. It's a very heavy process, because when I create a perfume, it's all my life, so I'm totally into my perfume. I'm in my own bubble, so sometimes I'm quite unreachable, and at the same time it's a little bit painful. Sometimes it depends on the perfumes. It's like carrying a child. Sometimes you are going to give birth very easily. Sometimes it's going to be a little bit more complicated. But I have constantly in my mind some formulas and some ideas, and so my dream, it will be to make perfume till I'm a very old lady. Just a lot of perfumes to make me dream, and to make other people dream, and to bring joy and happiness. And because I think the perfume is such a magical thing. And what I would love to do also, I would love to go through the world and to share my knowledges with people. I would love to see young people, or not young people, but just to let them understand the secret of the perfume, to let them smell my raw materials, to bring them the knowledge. It's a very deep wish, and I hope one day I will be able to go through the world and just to spray my knowledges like that. Well, I would like to thank you for coming, and it was very nice to participate to this interview. I hope I answer very well to your questions. And I'm glad to invite you in September in La Pitti Fragranze. I will be there with Guido, and I will be very, very happy to let you smell the new Nombre d'Or and also the oud. Thank you. Grazie mille.